to the Rules Committee. I guess everybody's noticed that David Dreyer is no longer here, and I want to acknowledge his presence. David was my mentor in Congress for 16 years, and I feel a sense of obligation to him. Louise and I spent a few minutes with each other before we walked in today and acknowledged not only David's leadership but her leadership of this committee over the years, and I am delighted that we welcome a brand new crew today. We are here today for the adoption of the committee rules and other business related to the organization of the committee, and if I could, want to acknowledge several things. First of all, we have Adam Jarvis, who is before us today. Adam has been here for 14 years, served this committee ably and well. Adam is an Eagle Scout as I. We have shared many wonderful times and thoughts and ideas, and he served with honor and distinction. Today is his last day at the Rules Committee, Louise.
Indeed, I'm sorry.
And Adam will be moving on back with his family. And I want to acknowledge him today. He will be sitting before us. Adam, thank you for your service for the committee. We also welcome today three new members of the committee. One who is coming back to us. He sat with the majority several terms ago, Tom Cole. Tom returns after serving in the 109th Congress, and Tom is also our appropriations content leader and serves on the House Budget Committee. Tom, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Honored to be back.
It's going to be fun this time again, right?
It was fun last time.
We also welcome Ileana Rosladen, a dear friend of Louise's also. And Ileana comes as the content leader, senior member of our conference, but comes to us with foreign affairs credentials as former chairman. And Ileana, you're going to do really well down there next to Dan Webster, one of your fellow Floridians, and Mike Burgess, the Texan down there. So good luck. But Ileana, welcome to the committee. We also welcome a very dear friend of mine and a content leader from the Energy and Commerce Committee, Mike Burgess. Dr. Burgess was a private physician in private practice for a number of years, and I believe will help us as we talk about ideas that come from Energy and Commerce. And Mike, as a senior member of that committee, will come be with us. Mike, welcome. Any words of wisdom for us this morning from down that end of the dais? Good. Louise, do you have any opening statements that you'd like to make?
If I could. First, I want to explain Jim McGovern's absence. He wanted to be here, but Jim had a young constituent that was working in Haiti when the earthquake struck. And at first they thought she was safe and told the parents that she would be home the next day in Boston. They go to the airport and she's not there. And 2 weeks later they found her body in the rubble. And her parents, like so many good Americans do, got themselves in their grief together and got money together for an orphanage in Haiti. And they were opening that today. He wanted to go down with the parents to commemorate that. So I know you understand why Jim's not with us this morning. And I want to welcome the new people as well, Chairman. Tom Cole is wonderful to have back. I always admired his intellect so much and his good sense of humor. Not bad there at all. He and Bishop are a formidable pair, I think, from our past, and we're happy to have both of them back together. And happy to have Ileana. We came in at the same time, and I've learned to respect her and learned so much from her. And I remember the first time that Dr. Burgess came to the Rules Committee, and you were talking about light bulbs. I don't know if you recall that or not, but it made such eminently good sense for me. I remember talking to you about it later that I thought that was so good. So it's great to have you and all of your expertise here. So we're happy about that and about our good man, Adam. The 14 years that he's been here, he's been unfailingly kind to all of us, been very helpful and a thoroughgoing professional, I think, as our staff is, on both sides here, and that they're here to help and here to move our agenda forward. And I certainly want to say congratulations to my good friend Pete Sessions. And we got together, Pete, and did a little something for you.
Oh, Louise, thank you.
Well, yes, indeed. Now you have.
Now, am I supposed to open it now?
You are, because I'm sure you can guess it is a gavel we had engraved for you, and we want you to use it in good health and goodwill and good
And good times.
good health and kindness, and with a very light touch.
Louise, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, it does denote today's date.
Your first day as chair.
And my first day as chair, and thank you very much,
And we
Louise.
look forward to these 2 years, and we look forward to getting a lot of good work done. And as you get to know us, we're all on this committee. We're all family. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I think Jerry's not here as well. But, I'm sure Mr. Polis will be joining us. Mr. Hastings, did you want to say a word of welcome?
I just want you to take notice of the fact that there are now 4 of us on the Rules Committee from Florida. And I may be able to form a rump caucus at some point, but I welcome all of the new members, especially want to say a fond goodbye to Adam, who has been a straight shooter with all of us on the committee. Deeply appreciative, but I imagine Montana Sky drew you in again. But thanks, welcome Tom, Liliana, Michael. Good to be with you.
You reckon one New Yorker can move 4 Floridians?
Yeah, I know how this is. Mr. Polis, thank you and welcome. I started a little bit early, and I apologize for that. We know we're on a vote schedule, and we know today is also a day where we not just recognize the return of the committee, but also to welcome new members. We have 3 new members, one which you probably know, Tom Cole, quite well. Mr. Cole previously served. Then Ileana Ross-Layton and Mike Burgess. And it's an honor to have you join us today. I'd like to, if I could, defer to the gentlewoman. She has some guests that are with us today. Virginia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce 4 students who are here from Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina. They are participating in a first-year seminar and came up. They have some colleagues at other places, but I invited them to come in to see the Rules Committee, and as soon as I introduced them, they're going to go in so they could see votes also. But I wanted to introduce Trevor Loudon, Cody Mangum, Josh Burt, and Chris Money, and say how pleased I am that they have come to visit. As you all know, I love having constituents visit, and particularly students, and I always hope that they will be inspired by their experiences here to be well-informed voters, if that's all they do is become well-informed voters, but hopefully get involved in the political process. So this is not a typical Rules Committee meeting today, but I hope you'll come back again and see sometimes the debate, but it's a wonderful way to start the year, and I hope the comedy that we have experienced here will last us throughout the year. So thank you.
It does come close. One thing I'd like to add is if Dave Dreyer had been here, he would talk about the Rules Committee as part of the institution of the United States Congress. Louise Slaughter understands that. We're an institutional body. We're someone that works off rules, procedures, and ways we do things. And we're different than other countries. We don't fight down on the floor. We argue our ideas. We fight with ideas, so to speak, and try and let the best idea prevail. But I hope what you see today is an institutional body, the United States Congress, where we are gathered here in this committee doing things that I guess they've done for 244 years now. So delighted that you're with us. Thank you very much. Okay. Part of our business today is the adoption of the committee rules for the 113th Congress. I can read my script. I can get my stuff done. The chair will now be in receipt of a motion from the gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Rules Committee adopt the chairman's proposed committee rules for the 113th Congress.
Please be advised that These rules have been worked on a bipartisan basis among our staffs, among Louise and myself. They essentially are clarifying the intent of certain requirements related to the availability of, once again, the word certain documents and emergency meeting designations. It's important that we learn over time and get better. That's part of this. Also clarifying the intent of the rule with respect to the distribution of rules prior to any vote on a motion in committee. And lastly, conforming the committee rules to several longstanding practices of the committee. In other words, bringing those things in line that we think into the rules. So without objection, the proposed rules will be considered as read and are open for amendment if there is any discussion at this time.
We have one amendment.
Mr. Polis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the proposed rules for the committee for the 113th Congress be amended in the form I have at the desk. The amendment would require that any bill or substitute amendment considered by this committee be accompanied by a cost estimate from the Congressional Budget Office to ensure that members of the committee know the estimated cost of every bill that they vote on. And if I can speak to that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, and I want to join my colleagues in welcoming our new colleagues. I hope, Mr. Chairman, we can also add 4 or 5 people to even it out a little bit on the committee. It'd be wonderful. We'll squeeze right in. And I bemoan the loss of the wonderful painting that Mr. Dreyer had on that wall. I will await your decision. There were many late nights where I rather enjoyed myself on Malibu Beach.
You're exactly right. And one of the, my wife Karen will be coming with the addition of the pictures. One of her favorite places in the world is Colorado.
Excellent.
But one of her also favorite places is Texas.
Okay.
And so I would anticipate that very quickly we will have some bluebonnets on the wall. But I'll tell you what, one thing that did stay are these paintings that are back here of the Capitol, and that's an institution now that David brought from an artist, and so we'll continue with that.
Knowing her third favorite place probably being Florida, we would also welcome another scene of the beach.
It's obvious that I have something, I like Florida a lot, so. Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you. This amendment is a very important amendment. As we said about the very serious task of balancing the budget, it's critical to know the costs of bills. How can we even make progress on the deficit or debt if we're considering measures whose effect on the debt is unknown? We offered this amendment during the 112th Congress organizational meeting. Unfortunately, it was defeated. I'm hoping that the majority has now seen the wisdom of including cost estimates in any consideration. I remember that Chairman Dreyer said that they would try to live up to the spirit of this amendment in the prior session. However, in the past 2 years, there were several dozen measures that came to this committee and were passed by this committee without even knowing the budgetary effect of the votes because there was no CBO cost estimate available. In fact, even the very first bill we considered, which was a bill to repeal health care reform, was later determined after it came through Rules Committee by the Congressional Budget Office to cost and add to the deficit $210 billion. And that information was not available during the deliberations of this committee, nor was it available during the deliberations on the House floor. Another example is we met on the Transportation Conference Report without a CBO cost estimate that was not available until after the debate began on the House floor. Again, was not available to members of this committee. As somebody who takes balancing the budget very seriously, as you know, Mr. Chair, supporting a balanced budget amendment, I think it's absolutely critical that we look at the costs of bills in this committee. It's very difficult to form a meaningful opinion of whether to support or oppose bills without, in fact, knowing their costs through the bipartisan Congressional Budget Office. So I hope that the committee will adopt my amendment, and I yield back.
Thank you very much. Obviously, as a person, I think every one of us as persons are concerned about where our federal government is headed and what the intent is of what we do when we pass bills. And I know that we have concerns about that. Mr. Woodall?
Mr. Chairman, thank
Yes,
you. I certainly agree with Mr. Polis about the importance of balancing budgets, and I've always appreciated the concern that he's dedicated to that, irrespective of where those issues come from. Though I have the great pleasure of serving on the Budget Committee as well as the the Rules Committee. And while I am very glad that regular order dictates that we do have CBO scores before we consider pieces of legislation, I know how overworked those folks are. They're doing absolutely everything they can, but the very nature of what we do in this committee means we're working on things at the last minute in ways that they can't perform their work. We need to look no further than the fiscal cliff debate, where the Senate had to pass H.R. 8 with no CBO report whatsoever. We had the benefit of that by the time it got to us, but the nation was demanding action, and the Senate had to move forward. So, Mr. Chairman, as well-intentioned and thoughtful as Mr. Polis's amendment is, I know this Congress is committed to balancing budgets. I see that in our cut-go legislation. I see that in the care and attention that we invest in every bill that comes through this committee. But given the tremendous responsibility that this committee has to be responsive at odd hours, at the last minute, at times when an overworked CBO staff cannot perform that job in time, I would oppose tying our hands in that way and preventing us from getting the people's business done.
Thank you. Any other members seek discussion on this item? I agree with the gentleman, and I will vote no. But I think that the spirit of this, which you alluded to, Mr. Polis, as to how Mr. Dreyer approached this, I think Mrs. Slaughter would the same way. To the best of our ability, we need to make sure that is available. And I would encourage us, just as we welcome the President's viewpoint on bills and we submit that to the record, I think it should be something that I would be expected to discuss. And so then we know when one is not available, and if we need to work a little bit better on that process, we'll do that. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you for the recognition, Chairman. I was just going to point out when we were in the minority, which was not too long ago, and a very large health care bill came through, and I remember coming to this committee in the middle of the night to offer amendments. Each of those amendments had been introduced as standalone pieces of legislation. Each of those pieces of legislation had gone to the Congressional Budget Office, but our office was told repeatedly that year that there was not time to take up the demands of members, and the implication was a junior member of the minority was so far back in line, good luck. So actually, I appreciate the spirit which is offered, but I would just suggest that it may also be restrictive to the minority to be able to offer amendments because of the restrictions of time and space at the CBO office. At least that was my experience in the time that we spent in the minority. I thank the Chairman for the recognition. I'll yield back.
Thank you.
Will the gentleman yield for a moment?
I'd be happy to yield to the gentleman.
And it's my understanding that this amendment only applies to the bills, not the amendments that would become before the committee, and it's simply not realistic, and I agree with the gentleman, to say that amendments would have to be scored. However, this refers to bills, the underlying bill that would have to be scored by the Congressional Budget Office.
And reclaiming the time, each of those amendments were introduced as standalone pieces of legislation, which were never scored for the reasons that I mentioned. I'll yield back.
I think this is good discussion, and I think it aims us to my discussions that I will have with Mrs. Slaughter and she will have with me, that we will have with our leadership teams, to make sure that to the best of our ability we are able to accurately understand the importance, not just of the bills, but an independent evaluation of that. Now more than ever, I want to put my name, you want to put your name as we vote for or against things with an understanding about what the practical impact of that would be. Good. Is there further discussion on the motion that's being made by the gentleman from Colorado? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it.
Mr. Chair, record a vote, please.
All right. Thank you very much. Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Fox? No. Ms. Fox votes no. Mr. Bishop? No. Mr. Bishop votes no. Mr. Cole? No. Mr. Cole votes no. Mr. Woodall? No. Mr. Woodall votes no. Mr. Nugent? No. Mr. Nugent votes no. Mr. Webster? No. Mr. Webster votes no. Ms. Russ-Leitonen? No. Ms. Russ-Leitonen votes no. Mr. Burgess? No. Mr. Burgess votes no. Ms. Slaughter?
Aye.
Ms. Slaughter votes aye. Ms. McGovern? Mr. Hastings?
Aye.
Mr. Hastings votes aye. Mr. Polis?
Aye.
Mr. Polis votes aye. Mr. Chairman?
No.
Chairman votes no.
Clerk will report total.
3 yeas, 9 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Is there further discussion or any amendments? Okay, hearing no request for further amendments, the question is on the motion from the gentlewoman from North Carolina. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. We will now move to the next piece of business that we have, and that is the designation of the vice chairman of the committee. We now proceed with the designation of the vice chair. Clause 2D of Rule 11 adopted by the House provides that the committee chair designate a vice chair to act on my behalf during temporary absences pursuant to the rule. I designate the gentlewoman from North Carolina, the Honorable Virginia Fox, from Grandfather Community, North Carolina, to serve as the vice chairman on the Committee of Rules. Congratulations, Virginia. By the way, that is an auspicious title that will probably not get you a cup of coffee, although I did read last night where a whole bunch of people, because of our age now, I'm over 55, you're getting close to that. You can get a free cup of coffee if you tell them your age, but probably not your title. So good luck. It is now in order to constitute the subcommittees for the 113th Congress. The chair will now be in receipt of a motion from the gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Rule 5C of the committee rules, I move that each of the two subcommittees during the 113th Congress shall be composed of 5 majority members and 2 minority members.
The subcommittee sizes and ratio will remain the same as they were in the 112th Congress. The gentlewoman, Mrs. Slaughter, and I discussed this just a few minutes ago. I'm well aware Mr. Polis would wish to change that also, but given the constraints that we live within today, it's been a practice for Republicans and Democrats. Is there any further discussion about this amendment? Okay. If hearing none, the question is on the motion of the gentlewoman from North Carolina. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. So the motion is agreed to without objection. Motion is reconsidered to be laid upon the table. Here we go. Election of subcommittee membership. I had an opportunity to talk with Mrs. Slaughter before we came out today, and we both agreed we have not put enough time.
Not a moment's thought.
Not a moment's thought to that yet. So without objection, we're going to postpone that announcement of the subcommittees that I have told Mrs. Slaughter that I will get with her
I appreciate
as soon
it.
as
I'd like
I
to see what Mr. McGovern
make that.
Thank you.
Good. So we have an agreement on that, and without objection, the staff on both the majority and the minority committee on the rules is approved also. Mrs. Slaughter and I spoke about that. She also expressed that she has confidence in our staff and I in her staff of being able to work together effectively.
We have wonderful staff.
So without objection, committee staff is also authorized to make technical and form changes to the rules reported by the Rules Committee during the duration of the 113th Congress. So without further ado, it looks like we have done all the business that we had before us. Does Mrs. Slaughter, do you have anything you'd like to say? Gentlemen? Okay, thank you very much. Anyone on this side of this great committee? Mr. Bishop, you're having way too much fun today. Yeah. So without objection, the committee is adjourned.